Hello, everyone. It's great to be here in Montreal. I want to thank Dave for his kind introduction and for his service protecting Canadians on the streets for so many years. I also want to thank him for his future work as the Member of Parliament for La Prairie, Atataken. And I want to thank Jacques Pinchot, the next MP for Compton. Stansted, our candidate there, is the former Association of Provincial Police Officers of Quebec president and worked in law enforcement for 35 years. Yet another strong Conservative voice to bring change and safety to our streets. We have here other candidates, Steve Shanahan, Ronan Reich, Neil Drabkin, Carl Bellet, and former Senator Boisvenu, who was Canada's leading champion for victims' rights. We're joined by many behind me who are members who have been victimized by crime or whose family members have. Canadians are living through a lost Liberal decade. For once safe towns and streets have been hit by a Liberal crime wave of chaos, drugs, and disorder. Our streets used to be safe, places where seniors could walk peacefully and not worry about their safety. Parents would let their children go out and play on the street. In many of our small towns, people didn't even need to lock the doors. But after 3 terms of catch and release Liberal policies, crime is everywhere. Violent crime up 50%, gun crime up 116%, as the government wastes billions of dollars targeting hunting rifles while allowing gun smugglers and gangsters run free. Gang homicides up 78%, auto theft 46%, extortion up an eye-watering 357% after the Liberals passed a law reducing penalties for extortion with a gun, a reduction in penalties that Mark Carney says he wants to keep. This Liberal crime wave is the direct result of government policies that put the so-called rights of criminals ahead of the rights of law-abiding Canadians. Laws that turn violent repeat offenders loose on our streets to offend again, like C-5, which allows some of the worst criminals to serve their sentences in the comfort of their living room, only to walk out the front door any time they choose to offend all over again. Then there's Bill C-75, which lets violent criminals go free within hours of their most recent arrest, even if they have hundreds of prior convictions. In fact, police say that often these offenders are released before the paperwork on their arrest is even completed. And Mark Carney has said he will not change any of the catch and release Liberal laws. Like so many elites who don't have to feel the effects of their policies, he agrees with them. When he lives in a protected neighborhood, he is surrounded by security. He spent most of his adult life not even living in Canada. He has no idea what it's like to feel endangered in his community. With Mark Carney, you will get 4 more years of the same out-of-touch Liberal catch-and-release laws that have caused the problem in the first place. A perfect example of this catch-and-release approach is the Liberals' failure to respond to the Supreme Court's decision in the Alexandre Bissonnette case, a man who carried out a vile murder of 6 innocent people, a premeditated attack on peaceful worshippers, gunning them down, execution style. Now, the trial judge in the Bissonnette's case decided that he should not be eligible for parole for at least 40 years. Now, I think that's too little. The judge reached this sentence by applying the Protecting Canadians by Ending Sentence Discounts for Multiple Murderers Act. A previous Conservative government had introduced that act. It was meant to get rid of the bulk discount for multiple murderers that allowed them to serve all their sentences at once. But later on, the Supreme Court thought that sentence was too severe. Let's be clear. The earlier sentence would have allowed Bissonnette to be free after 60 years, and at the age of 60, after 40 years. But the Supreme Court thought that was too harsh. So he kills 6 people, and the Supreme Court thought it was too harsh to have him stay in prison until he's age 60. So they struck down the law. Now, Bissonnette will be eligible for release after just 25 years. That works out to 4 years of jail time for every murder he committed. Think about that for a second. What happened to the principle of proportionality? You get 4 years behind bars for taking the life of another human being? This is insane. And it has to stop. You know, that was back in 2022, this decision was made. 3 years have gone by, and Mr. Carney and the Liberals have done nothing to reverse it. And they can reverse it. As a result of the court's decision, multiple murderers can now be let out of prison after just 25 years. They don't even serve a single real life sentence for any of the murders. And it's not just Bissonnette. It's Justin Bourque, who was kicked and convicted for his horrific shooting spree in which he murdered 3 RCMP officers and injured 2 others in Moncton. The trial judge in this case deemed his crimes worthy of 75 years without parole. But following the Supreme Court's decision, he will be eligible for parole potentially after 25 years. Again, 3 RCMP officers dead, their families destroyed, and he will effectively serve 7.5 years for each murder he committed. That means he could walk free on his 50th birthday after taking 3 lives and injuring others. Now, Parliament has the legitimate constitutional authority and the moral duty to correct this injustice and restore common sense sentencing with no more discounts for multiple murderers. Every life matters, and someone who takes multiple lives should be held accountable for each one. That's why I'm announcing today a Conservative government will reintroduce and pass the law that empowered judges to impose consecutive sentences for killers convicted of multiple murders. The worst mass murderers should never be allowed back on our streets. For them, a life sentence should mean what it says, a life sentence. They should only come out in a box. We will do this using Parliament's legitimate constitutional authority under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that allows Parliament to act to protect the charter rights of Canadians. And let me talk about those charter rights. I am here today to defend the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, particularly for law-abiding Canadians and victims of crime. The Liberals have systematically violated the charter rights of Canadians to life, liberty, and security of the person, as defined in Section 7. By allowing repeat murderers back out on the street, Liberals are violating the rights of law-abiding people to live in peace and security. By allowing rampant offenders with 200 or 300 convictions to be released within hours of their most recent arrest, Liberals are violating the constitutional rights of the next victim that those criminals will target. I will protect the Charter of Rights for a change. I will also introduce a 3 strikes and you're out law, stopping criminals from who have been convicted 3 times from ever getting bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. It will be jail, not bail. They will serve a minimum of 10 years behind bars, after which they will have to earn their release through perfect behavior, clean drug tests, and by learning an employable skill that guarantees they'll be working and not doing crime if and when they can be released. We'll give mandatory life sentences for human traffickers, gun smugglers, and fentanyl dealers. We will bring in tougher sentences for intimate partner violence. We will shut down drug dens, ban hard drugs, secure the border against trafficking, and treat 50,000 Canadians suffering from addiction. A new Conservative government will restore Canada's promise that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful, affordable home on a safe street. That means not just ending crime, but reining in Liberal inflation and making things affordable again. We'll cut income tax by 15% so that hard work pays off. We'll get rid of the sales tax on new homes to save people up to $65,000 on their purchase, while incentivizing municipalities to cut their taxes on homes by another $50,000, so that you can reduce the cost of housing by $100,000, and our young people will again be able to afford a nice house to live in. We'll secure our borders and our future. Bringing home the Canadian promise is my purpose in this election, and the choice for Canadians is going to be very simple. After the lost Liberal decade of skyrocketing costs and crime, do Liberals deserve a 4th term? Or is it time for a change? Change so that you can afford food and housing. Change so that you're safe on your street. Change so that your paycheck grows faster than your cost of living. That is the change we need. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
Merci.